This e-bike here that I'm reviewing today is the Eskute Netuno. It's a new bike from them, 27.5-inch rims. It does have mechanical disc brakes. They're 160mm, a front shock that is from Zoom with about 2.5 inches of travel, a Bafang 250-watt rear hub motor, 7 gears from Shimano, pretty standard. It is their tourney that I see in a lot of these e-bikes. And a weight of this bike, well, it's about 25 kilos, again, standard there. What isn't is the frame size. It's quite large, as you can see with me standing next to it. I'm 182 centimeters tall. Handlebar height is actually quite good for me, do like it. Spacious frame, and the battery in this one, it is large, 14.5 amp hours. It uses Samsung cells, and the range, they claim you should be able to get up to 100 kilometers out of this e-bike, which of course I will be putting to the test. So my typical road test here, I'll run over the design, the components they have used. I'll even take it down a few trails around the area here and let you know all the pros and cons of the Eskute Netuno. Our seat here is nice and wide, good bit of sponge to it. It is comfortable, I don't have any problems with it at all. We do have a rear tail light here, which is an LED one. It runs off batteries, so not off the main bike battery. It is bright, and great that they did include this for safety. You can see that at nighttime it's very visible there, which is what you want with a rear tail light. The headlight at the front does have a reflector. It is nice and bright and does light up the path ahead of you for nighttime riding. With this Eskute bike, they've gone with brand components. They might not be high-end, but at least they do have a proper name to them. So the shock here, this is a Zoom. It's the Forgo model, and it has approximately 2 to 2.5 inches of travel. We do have a quick release front hub, and our disc brakes, these are mechanical discs. Now, I wish they were hydraulic at this price point. I do believe they should have hydraulics with this, but they are TechTablets Aries brakes, and for mechanical disc brakes, they work really well. 160mm discs. The rear brake is the same, 160mm, and you see that we don't have any quick release rear hub. The motor, this one is a Bafang motor, so another brand component. It runs off a 36-volt system, and the maximum output of this one is 250 watts, which is the EU legal limit. It does come with a included kickstand that you do need to mount. That's about the only thing you have to mount. Oh, that and the handlebars. It is sturdy, it does not rattle, and it supports the bike well. I've not had any problems with it so far. The Netuno has Well-Go pedals, so another brand component yet again, and it does use a speed sensor in the crank there. Now this speed sensor, I have found at times, is a little slow to react to my pedaling to then give me the pedal assist power. The frame does have mounting points here for a rear rack and a bottle holder. The battery is located within the frame right here. Now it is a Samsung battery, so the cells I've used in it. The capacity is 522 watt hours or 14.5 amp hours, which is quite large for these bikes. The claimed range, they say, is about 100 kilometers. Now there is a status LED within it that you can simply press this button to check the power level of the battery before you place it in the bike. It is removable, so with the key here it's locked in place, but using that I can simply just turn it and it pops up, and you can remove that battery then completely to charge it in the office, for example. Now the charge time of this battery is about 6 to 7 hours. The rims on this bike are 27.5 inches, and we have Kenda tires, so that's another brand component that they've gone with. So the width of these tires is 2.1 inches, and it's a cross-country off-road tread pattern. It does come with Shimano gears here, which is very standard, so 7-speed, and it is their tourney, very entry-level. The chain is a rust-proof KMC chain, and we do have a plastic guard around the front crank. So the bike is not using lock grips, unfortunately, and they do twist around a little bit, so I would end up changing these for lock grips. So this is our front brake lever here, which is a Zoom brake lever that does have an incorporated bell in it, which is loud enough. The rear brake, and then our selector there for the 7 Shimano gears. And then our display here. Now this one's quite clear, but it doesn't flicker like this. It's only on my camera here that it's doing this. It is, however, a little hard to see in direct sunlight. I wish it was a little bit brighter. So this is to power it on and off. and tapping that, you then turn on that front headlight. So this is our mode button. So there's 5 different pedal assist levels. Each one gives you various different levels of power, and the top speed is up to 25 kilometers per hour. Now it does have Bluetooth and an application which at the moment only works on iPhone. Onto the fun stuff now. So just how does it ride? So I like this kickstand. As I mentioned before, it doesn't rattle, and that's a good point about any bike. If it doesn't rattle, it gets a big thumbs up from me. Now there is a little bit of battery rattle that I do sometimes hear, but most of the time the bike doesn't rattle, which is good. So I've got ample space here. This is a large frame. There's no way my knees are going to get anywhere close to these handlebars, which is great. Now the handlebar height for me is good. I'm 182 centimeters tall, and I find that it's nice and high. I don't feel like I'm crouching down, crouching over with this, which is good. Now the gear shifts, typical Shimano, no problems. It's not like SRAM. I've got SRAM on my Trek and I have issues, but no, this is working great, no problems. And the brake levers, they feel good. Good response from them, and I'll be doing my brake test later on too with this bike. So, the pedal assist, I've got nothing at the moment. So at number 1, I actually put it on to number 3, 4. 5 there, you can feel it kick in. Now it is sometimes a little slow. Just popping up that front. Top speed, so me pedaling quite fast here, as hard as I can in the 7th gear, highest gear of course. I can get it up to about 38, 39 kilometers per hour, but this is downhill, but I can still do it on the flat. So this bike does have a reasonably good top speed. I'm happy with it. It's not like other bikes that you cannot actually really go over about 30, but this one you can, thanks to the 27.5-inch wheels. It really do help out. So here is my climb testing spot. I am in the pedal assist level number 5, which is the maximum, and I'm in the 5th gear here, but I'm gonna lower that down. Actually, no, I don't think I need to. This is going quite well. So this is about a 25, 30 degree incline, the gradient right here, that I'm going up. So it's reasonably steep. I am having to put a little bit of effort in now, the steeper it gets. But this isn't bad. But I do feel now I've got to drop it down a few gears. So it's certainly helping me, but I can feel the limitation of that 250 watts and the 45 Newton meters of torque. So it's a good climber, but it's certainly not the best that I've tested out, the climbing performance. And my brake test from about 30 kilometers per hour from this post. Full on braking, but I locked up that rear. These TechTablets brakes, mechanical disc brakes, 160 millimeter, they're actually pretty good. I've got no complaints, and I don't feel like I need to go and upgrade these to hydraulic. They do have good braking performance and plenty of pressure being applied, and those pads are really biting into the discs, which is what I want out of my brakes. And if you had a flat battery, well, I can tell you, you can do the steep climbs, but whew, I'm on the 1st gear, the lowest. This is very difficult, 25 kilos and quite a challenging climb. Really have to push hard to climb up this. And a little bit of downhill testing now. So I've got the seat right down, I can get it out of the way. And this drop here, a little bit scary on an unfamiliar bike, but it did it okay. A bit of rattling coming from the battery and probably even a bit from the suspension. Down to see how well it can climb. So this trail here, very rocky, a lot of loose rock around. The front suspension's helping a little bit, but this is very hard going, and unfortunately that is it. So I did the same climb here with a fat tire bike, which has 4-inch wide tires. It rocketed up this, but with the skinnier 2.1-inch tires here, I really don't stand a chance getting up this. And then riding down these trails, again, this is very technical, very rough, and it's okay. The front shock is definitely getting quite a workout here. It's reasonably stiff, and as I've mentioned a couple of times, like the travel's only about 2.5 inches, but it's still better than nothing. I would not want to go down this without any front shock at all. And with a hardtail here and heavy bike, it's doing okay. Going down the trails at least seems relatively quick and not too much of an issue.
Now then, what about the range you can get out of it? So the 14.5 amp hour battery is quite a large one. Normally I see 10 amp hour batteries, but this one is big. It adds a little bit more weight, but the range is excellent out of this bike. Now the other Eskute bikes that I have reviewed, some of them with 700C wheels on them, I managed to get 90, 100 kilometer range, and this is very good. So for every bar, which is representing 20% of the battery gauge on the display, I am losing around 15 kilometers, but that's including climbs, mostly using the pedal assist level 4 or 5, which are the higher levels. So I do believe it is actually possible to get their claimed 100 kilometer range. Of course, when you're riding on the flat and you ride over 25 kilometers per hour, you're not even using the motor then, or even touching that battery. So that is going to aid to the range there. So mileage always will vary, and I'm about 82 kilos now. So if you're lighter than me, you'll get more. If you're heavier, you'll get less. If you've got more climbs, range will be shorter too as well. You get the idea now. A lot of things I do like about this bike, and it's especially because they've gone finally, these brands, with a lot of actual known brand components. So Zoom front shock, Bafang motor, Samsung battery cells, Tektro mechanical disc brakes, and even Welgo pedals too, not no brand stuff there. The shock works well, the travel's relatively short, it's only really about 2.5 to maybe sometimes 3 inches that I can see from the grease marks here of the travel I've been able to get out of it. But those brakes from Tektro, they're working well for mechanical disc brakes. I really don't have any complaints about them. I wouldn't even feel the need to go and swap them out for hydraulics, which I normally complain about in most of my e-bike reviews. However, at this price point, I still think they should have gone with hydraulics, but the brakes are good there. So the gears from Shimano, they work flawlessly. Overall, I think this is a good bike, considering other bikes that sell for about 1,200 euros. They have a no brand shock, no brand battery. You don't know what the battery cells are. They could be LG, they could be Samsung. They don't normally mention that. The brakes are normally no brand as well, or they could be Zoom brakes, which, okay, they're all right, but these ones are definitely better. So you're getting some brand names in this, components that are just a lot better, and you only have to pay really about 100 euros more than some of the others I've reviewed. So overall, it is a decent bike, but it is a large frame size. So it's not going to be for everyone. The handlebar height is quite high. I'm 182 centimeters tall, so for me it actually works out to be fine. The seat can go down nice and low, so make sure you check on their website for the rider heights that this frame does cater to, and then the frame size, the geometry and everything before you pull the trigger on it. But it does get the thumbs up from me. The Eskute Netuno here I think is a decent 27.5 inch entry level e-bike. Let me stress that it's an entry level bike. You're not going to be doing downhill crazy extreme trails with a bike like this, but it certainly is, for the price tag, I think a very good e-bike.